Let's just cut right to the chase. If you are an intermediate language learner, what is the single biggest fear you face?
Oh, it's stagnation.
Exactly. It's hitting that invisible wall. You study, you practice, you pour in the hours. And yet, the effort yields absolutely no visible, measurable progress.
And that feeling, it has a name. We call it the infamous plateau. And today, we're going to attack it.
But not with the usual tips and tricks.
No. We're going deeper. We're going to expose the exact psychological reason your progress flatlines. And then we're going to hand you 3 very specific tools to not just break through that bottleneck, but to permanently obliterate it.
And we're using a framework for this, right? The infinite mindset.
That's the one.
So if you are currently pouring months, maybe even years into your English, and you're not seeing that tangible return, that aha moment, you need this framework. We're talking about a 3-pronged mental strategy, something designed to activate and, I guess, sustain what we're calling your invisible growth.
Exactly. This is where we move from being just a student of the language to becoming a master of sustained growth.
So what are the 3 tools?
Okay, so the 3 things we have to discuss today are 1, the identity shift, 2, unwavering consistency, and 3, this is the crucial one that almost everyone misses, trusting the imperceptible.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are leaving the grammar books on the shelf and diving headfirst into the psychology of sustained language mastery.
And just a quick note for our listeners, as we move through this, you'll probably notice we are deliberately using some pretty sophisticated vocabulary and varied sentence structures.
Right. This is intentional.
It is. For our upper intermediate listeners, think of this deep dive not just as theory, it's a high-level listening session. And it's designed to really enhance your idiomatic fluency right now, just by listening.
Okay, so let's start with the pain point. We're talking about that intermediate learner. They can already communicate. They've got the foundations down.
Yeah.
So why does this period of stagnation feel so debilitating?
Because the entire reward structure just disappears.
What do you mean by that?
Think of learning a language like climbing a mountain, okay? But the gradient, the slope, is constantly shifting.
Right.
When you're a beginner, that gradient is incredibly steep. You learn to say hello, you learn thank you, and suddenly you can navigate a basic conversation. That progress is rapid, it's measurable, and
it feels good. It's that immediate reward.
it's incredibly addictive. It fuels your effort. But then you hit the intermediate phase.
And the mountain gets flat.
Not quite flat, but the gradient becomes much, much shallower. You are still walking, you're still putting in the same effort, maybe even more, but the peak just doesn't seem to be getting any closer.
So the progress is no longer salient. It's not jumping out at you.
Exactly. Your brain is wired to seek validation, to seek that reward signal.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't get it, it interprets the lack of visible achievement as a total lack of progress.
And that misalignment right there between the effort you're putting in and the reward you're seeing, that's the root of the disillusionment.
That is the core psychological struggle. And it leads directly to the biggest mistake that traps most learners.
Which is?
Confusing activity with advancement.
Okay, let's break that down. Because I think most people feel like they are working hard. So what does that aimless activity look like?
Aimless activity is, well, it's low risk. It's comforting. It's like running on a treadmill at a comfortable speed. You feel busy, maybe even a little tired, but you're not actually moving forward.
So reading a book you already understand easily, for example.
Perfect example. Or listening to podcasts where you already know, say, 98% of the vocabulary. You are just reinforcing what you already know. You're staying firmly in the comfort zone.
Right, so what's the alternative? What is advancement?
Advancement requires deliberate practice, and this is highly cognitively demanding. It means you have to operate at the very edge of your ability.
Stretch zone.
The stretch zone. You have to introduce what we call mental friction.
Can you give us a few concrete examples for someone who's already, say, upper intermediate?
Absolutely. It has to involve producing, not just consuming. So instead of just passively listening to the news, you try to immediately summarize a complex news article out loud.
Using complex language yourself.
Yes, using sophisticated conjunctions and phrases you don't normally use. Another one is intense replication. So you try to perfectly mimic the intonation, the rhythm of a native speaker in a short clip of dialogue. The mental effort required for that is enormous.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. That exhaustion, that mental friction, is the sign that new neural pathways are actually being forged.
So if it feels easy, you're just idling.
You're idling. If it feels hard and maybe even a little frustrating, that's when you know you're doing the right thing. It's the counterintuitive truth of advanced learning. We have to learn to embrace that friction.
To target our weaknesses, not just reiterate our strengths.
That's it. You have to be intentional.
That intentionality is so key. And, as we transition from diagnosing this problem to the solution, I just want to quickly mention the PDF. Exactly. We've put together a comprehensive companion guide for this deep dive. Because we're using this high-level language, this guide has everything. The full transcript, a detailed breakdown of all the new vocabulary.
And a quiz to test yourself.
Right. It's an essential tool to make sure you really solidify everything we're talking about today. You can download it using the link in the description.
Okay, so let's get into the solution, the infinite mindset.
Yes. So we've established the problem is this mismanaged reward system. How does a big philosophical concept like this translate into practical language mastery?
Well, this framework, which was popularized by authors like Simon Sinek, is all about a radical commitment to the long-term vision over any kind of short-sighted win. Your whole perspective has to shift.
Away from an endpoint.
Completely. Think about the internal questions a learner asks. The finite learner asks, when will I finish this? When will I be fluent?
They're focused on a destination, a finish line.
Right. But the infinite learner asks a profoundly different question. They ask, who am I continuously becoming through this process?
That shift right there, it inherently removes the false idea of a finish line. Because, let's be honest, mastery in a language like English is never finished. It's continuous refinement.
Precisely. And that mindset protects you from burnout because it's all about intrinsic motivation, the satisfaction from the act of learning itself, not from some external reward like passing a test.
So missing a short-term goal doesn't derail you.
It doesn't trigger self-sabotage because the purpose is infinite.
Okay, let's dive into the first and maybe the most actionable pillar of this, the identity shift. We hear the phrase, true behavior change is identity change.
How do our listeners apply this?
It's about replacing that vague future goal, I want to be fluent, with an immediate, present tense, and actionable identity.
And what is that identity?
You have to stop saying, I am trying to learn English. That phrase implies struggle. It implies obligation.
Okay.
You have to start embracing the identity. I am a person who speaks English.
That's such a subtle change in wording, but it feels like a profound shift in self-perception. It is. And when you truly internalize that identity, I am a speaker, your actions start to align almost effortlessly.
How so?
Well, a speaker reads in English because that's just their natural state. A speaker seeks out conversations not because it's homework, but because it's a natural extension of who they are.
So the action stops being this unpleasant chore you have to force yourself to do.
Exactly. It just becomes a natural expression of your perceived self.
The author James Clear talks about this. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become.
That's the perfect way to frame it. Every small action, listening to this deep dive right now, looking up one new word, it's a vote for your new identity. I am a person who speaks English.
And the more votes you cast, the stronger that identity becomes.
And the stronger your defense against procrastination and the dips of the plateau, it becomes self-reinforcing.
If this idea of an identity shift is resonating with you, we would love to hear about it. Take a second right now and let us know in the comments below. What's your current identity? Are you an English learner or are you an English speaker? We read every single one.
Please do.
And of course, if you're enjoying this deep dive, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our upcoming research.
And if you want the methodological rigor to really support this new identity, refining your practice is crucial. I strongly recommend watching the deep dive we did on deep work.
Oh, that's a great one. Deep work. 5 pillars to build focused discipline.
Yes, the link is in the description. Deep work is really the engine that drives this new identity forward.
Okay, let's move on to the second pillar, which for many people is the hardest. Unwavering consistency.
Ah, yes. So many people get the identity shift, but then they burn out because they try to maintain this impossible level of intensity.
Right, the all or nothing approach.
Exactly. And that's the primary confusion. We mistake a short burst of extreme effort for a sustainable pace. The non-negotiable heartbeat of the infinite mindset is consistency.
You use the metaphor of a mountain stream.
I do. It's not the momentary devastating flood that carves a valley. It's the gentle, unrelenting flow of water over a very long time.
Slow, steady pressure, not high-impact trauma.
That's it. Neurologically, doing 5 minutes every single day is infinitely more powerful than trying to cram 4 hours into 1 day a week.
Why is that?
The daily 5 minutes keeps the language active in your working memory. It maintains neural momentum. That 4-hour session, while it seems productive, is just prone to the forgetting curve.
And it's so much harder to start again after a long break.
You've hit on the key point, activation energy. Every time you restart after a break, you have to overcome this huge psychological friction of just beginning.
But if you do it every day,
You reduce that friction to almost zero. You keep the motor running. It's not about being perfect, it's about uninterrupted engagement. We're looking for that incremental, steady progress.
the analogy that comes to mind is water drops on a rock. One drop does nothing, but thousands of drops, falling with steady repetition over time, will fundamentally change the rock's shape.
A truly powerful illustration. And that leads us perfectly to the third pillar, which is so essential for surviving the plateau.
Trusting the imperceptible.
Trusting the imperceptible, the invisible growth that happens in the background.
This is critical because if learners feel like their daily 5 minutes isn't giving them immediate results, they'll doubt the whole system.
And that's the failure point.
Yeah.
See, when you're in the intermediate phase, your progress isn't measured in big, obvious metrics anymore. You're not learning a whole new tense every week.
Right.
Progress becomes more subtle, it becomes internal, it's harder to see.
So what are some examples of this imperceptible progress? What should a learner be looking for?
It's things like auditory discrimination. Suddenly you can hear the nuanced difference between two sounds that used to sound the same to you.
Yeah.
Or it's being able to have a conversation with less mental stress.
Like it feels less like a mental workout.
Exactly. Or you suddenly understand a joke or a colloquialism without having to consciously translate it in your head. The biggest reward is often just a quieter mind during a conversation.
So even when we feel like nothing is happening on the surface, that consistent exposure, the gentle flow of the stream, is strengthening the neural network underneath.
Absolutely. There's significant subconscious processing going on. Learners who insist on constant external validation will always be frustrated at this stage. You have to trust that the low-level effort is building deeper, more robust internal structures.
The reward is no longer a gold star on a test.
No. The reward is a feeling of internal ease. It's a deeper grasp of nuance. It's the ability to actually think in English.
That requires a lot of faith in the process. We have to learn to acknowledge those small internal wins. You know, this brings up a good question for our community. Right now, what do you prioritize? Is it intensity, those huge marathon study sessions? Or is it consistency, those small daily actions? Let us know your approach in the comments.
And remember, to really master the sophisticated language and sentence structures we've used here today, make sure you download that PDF workbook. The quiz and the analysis in there will help you turn this listening session into active knowledge.
We've covered a profound amount of ground. Let's just synthesize the 3 pillars one more time, the things that define the infinite mindset.
Okay, so first, the identity shift.
Yeah.
You stop trying to learn English and you become a person who speaks English.
Right.
Second, unwavering consistency. Prioritize small, daily actions to maintain momentum and get past that activation energy barrier.
And third,
Trusting the imperceptible. Having faith that internal subconscious progress is happening, even when you can't see it on the surface.
when you embrace those principles, your entire language journey just fundamentally shifts. It moves away from needing that immediate gratification.
And it becomes a journey of peaceful, uninterrupted perseverance. And I mean, this is about more than just vocabulary. It's about treating yourself and your learning process with some self-compassion.
Instead of just relentlessly criticizing yourself for not being fluent yet.
Exactly. Recognizing that real growth takes time and steady effort.
That transformation takes a lot of courage. And we know that for many people, that courage is held back by the fear of actually speaking.
The final hurdle.
It is. For anyone struggling with that anxiety of actually applying the language, we have an essential resource for you. Check out our video, The Secret to Fluency. Stop the fear of speaking.
That one's all about the psychology and the strategy behind it. The link is below.
It really is a must-watch.
Well, it has been a pleasure to break this framework down. For every listener out there, remember, you are exactly where you need to be. The only thing an infinite learner has to do is keep casting those votes. Keep walking.
And if this deep dive gave you a new, valuable way to think about your growth, please share it with just one friend who might also be struggling. Help us build a community focused on sustainable, intelligent learning.
And of course, like and subscribe before you go.
Thank you for joining us.
Keep making those consistent small choices.
And remember, you are allowed to take your time. You are still moving. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.